Most horror movies end on either a happy note with the final girl escaping and the killer being taken down, or everyone dying and the villain going on to appear in subsequent movies. However, sometimes we get no answers, sometimes we're left to guess what might have happened and get no clear resolution. We're going to be discussing two different types of movies in this list: movies that ended before we got what we wanted, and movies that quite literally had a very short runtime. These are the top 5 horror movies that end too soon. Let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have The Grey. Now, it could be debated as to whether or not The Grey is a horror movie, but in my opinion it is, therefore I'm including it on this list, because it scared me. Don't come for me. Released in 2011 and directed by Joe Carnahan, The Grey stars Liam Neeson, Frank Grillo and Dermot Mulroney and is based on the short story Ghost Walker by Ian Mackenzie Jeffers. The movie follows a group of oil men who become stranded in the Alaskan wilderness in the middle of winter after their plane crashes. They must try their best to survive the harsh climates, but also a vicious pack of timber wolves who begin stalking them. The movie is a thrill ride from start to finish and a bloody battle of man against wolf. Not to mention the cold climate adds much more brutality to the movie. It's almost hard to watch at times. Now, the movie could have ended well if it hadn't been for its post-credits scene, which in turn made us wish we had another 15 minutes of the movie just to know the fate of Liam Neeson. Now, spoilers ahead for those who haven't seen the movie, but Otway, played by Neeson, stumbles across a den of wolves while trying to flee danger, with him unknowingly heading towards the danger instead. He arms himself with a knife and shards of a liquor bottle that he tapes to his hand, and then these words are recited, I quote, "Once more into the fray, into the last good fight I'll ever know, live and die on this day." He then charges the alpha wolf and the movie ends. Like I said, that would have been a suitable end, but there was sadly a post-credit scene which showed us the alpha wolf taking its last breath and Otway lying next to it, his fate now unclear. Why must it end with that? Give us more, at least leave it off prior to the post-credits with him charging the wolf and us deciding his fate, which is likely death. We knew he was gonna die. On top of that, we didn't even get an epic wolf battle, which would have been so great, but alas. Coming in at 4, we have The Devil Inside. Now, The Devil Inside over time has managed to earn the reputation of being one of the worst horror movies ever made, and that's quite the title. But this mostly is due to its truly terrible ending, which we'll get into in a few moments. Released in 2012 and directed by William Brent Bell, this found footage horror movie is a documentary style film that follows a woman who becomes involved in a series of exorcisms on her journey to figure out what happened to her mother, who murdered 3 people as a result of supposedly being possessed by a demon. Honestly, it's not worth getting into detail about the events that unfold over the course of the movie because nothing quite makes sense, and just as the ending begins to heat up, things crash and burn. Now, the problem this movie faced wasn't just that it ended too soon, it was that it should never have been made to begin with, in my opinion that is. Anyway, to sum up this train wreck of an ending, our protagonist ends up being possessed, and then there's a car crash and she disappears. Then it cuts to black aggressively. People thought this couldn't possibly be the end, but guess what? It was. And worse still, a title card pops up informing that the case of the family is still unresolved and that you can visit a website for more information. Worse still, the website doesn't even work. What a waste of time. Before we jump into number 3, be sure to hit that like button, it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 3, we have Wreck. Now, I'm taking a slightly different approach with this number. We're going to be talking about runtime instead of necessarily explaining why the movie ended before it should have, because Wreck was a perfect movie with a perfect ending. It was just short as hell. Released in 2007 and directed by Jaume Balaguero and Paco Plaza, with the movie following a Spanish news reporter in Barcelona who, along with her cameraman, joins a team of firefighters on a routine emergency call in an apartment building. However, things quickly spiral out of control when a deadly virus begins to spread among the residents, which turns them into bloodthirsty cannibals. And the news reporter can do nothing but continue to report as the government surrounds the building and attempts to stop the virus from spreading by sealing everyone inside. Escape is impossible. The residents try to survive, but after an old woman attacks everyone, everything descends into madness, with the virus rapidly spreading and the news reporter and her cameraman forced to head further and further up the stairs to safety. Wreck's ending is truly what makes this movie so damn good, because what the hell is going on? As the news reporter and cameraman ascend the stairs and head to the penthouse, they discover the source of the outbreak, a young Portuguese girl named Tristana who supposedly suffered from demonic possession. An agent from the Vatican owned the penthouse and isolated an enzyme from the young girl, which ultimately mutated and became contagious, in turn spreading the virus. Tristana was then locked in the penthouse to die. However, she is still very much alive, and the news reporter learns this as they must navigate the dark penthouse with Tristana stalking their every move. move. Now, this movie is incredibly effective for such a short runtime, with it being just 78 minutes long. It's an adrenaline rush from start to finish, and if you haven't checked it out, I suggest you do so immediately. Coming in at 2, we have 28 Days Later. This is yet another movie with a less than enjoyable ending, simply because we get no conclusion. It's not wrapped up in a pretty bow, or any bow for that matter. Released in 2002 and directed by Danny Boyle, 28 Days Later stars Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, and Christopher Eccleston, with the plot following the breakdown of society after a highly contagious virus is accidentally released, turning people into angry cannibals. We specifically follow 4 survivors who attempt to survive during the destruction while trying to evade the infected. They rally survivors and attempt to head to places in the country that might have a cure or an answer to the infection. However, they never find salvation. Instead, they encounter survivors who want to use them for their own gain, even capturing one of the women to use her to repopulate the earth, which is disgusting. Now, I'm not saying the ending is a bad one by any means, but it is more so frustrating as our heroes are hiding out in a remote cottage in Cumbria, and the infected are gradually dying of starvation. A fighter jet flies overhead, with the survivors unfurling a banner spelling the word hello. They jump up and down, enjoying optimism. However, this is where the movie ends. We never know if they were rescued or if the fighter jet continued on. There is no clear resolution. All we know is that along came 28 weeks later, not long after, and the virus was still going, so they did. And finally, in at number 1 we have World War Z. World War Z is a truly great zombie infection movie. It's thrilling and horrifying and is one of Brad Pitt's best movies in recent years. However, its ending was lacking, and I think we can all agree on that. Released in 2013 and directed by Mark Foster, World War Z is an apocalyptic horror movie based on the 2006 novel of the same name written by Max Brooks. The film stars Brad Pitt as Jerry Lane, a former United Nations investigator who must try and find a way to stop a zombie pandemic, which is running rampant across the world. Like all infection movies, our heroes must find a vaccine in order to stop the spread. So Brad Pitt is the man to accomplish the mission. He must uncover the origin of the virus in order for scientists to develop a vaccine. So off he heads across the world, hopping from country to country, avoiding zombie attacks and trying to uncover the origin of the outbreak. Now, spoilers are incoming simply because the ending contains all of the reveals and plot twists, so you have been warned. It is discovered that zombies ignore the injured or terminally ill as they don't see them fit hosts for viral reproduction. Now, while in a lab full of deadly pathogens, which is convenient, Jerry tests this theory while being blocked by a zombie. And it works. He injects himself with the pathogen and the zombie ignores him. The movie then simply ends with the group reaching a safe zone in Nova Scotia with a vaccine derived from deadly pathogens camouflaging survivors, meaning that their battle against the infected can finally begin. And that is where the movie ends. We have no resolution, only the knowledge that illnesses can hide you from the masses. But what will come of that? How will the world get a vaccine while millions are infected and trying to kill? We need more, but we never got it. Just when things were getting good, the movie ends and the credits roll. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any horror movies that you think ended too soon? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 terrible horror movies with great concepts. Lock the Fox said thumbs up for Lucy saying Bella Thorne, not a fan, no need to say sorry. Well, I said sorry because I know a lot of people like Bella Thorne. Personally, I don't like Bella Thorne. I don't think she's a very good actress. I don't think she seems like a very good person, but I don't know her. Everyone has different opinions about people. She might be great. I also hate Chloe Grace Moretz. I hate a lot of different people, most people, until I get to know them. Maybe she's lovely. I don't know her life. Adam Jenks said, so glad to see Lucy again, wish we could have more, but hey, you're busy, cheers. I know, I wish I was here more too. But I'm here when you least expect it, which is a fun surprise. Maybe I'll be here more, who knows, but let's be honest, I won't be. You can find me on Central Dark if you're looking for me. Amber Martin said, Slither is my favourite movie I bought having no clue what it was, got used from Blockbuster for $3.99. Blockbuster, blast from the past. I also got Slither. I got it as a birthday present from my sister and her then boyfriend. It was my 13th birthday and it was a stormy night and we had a power cut, so we had to sit in the dark and I couldn't even watch the movie. Christian Morrow said, damn, this is a brave list. Lot of hot takes, lol. It is a brave list and you guys made sure to tell me in the comments how much you disagree with my picks. But it's my list. I host the video. David Bass Knight said, Lucy, Keegan and Taylor, how about top 5 horror protagonists and antagonists you can relate to? Yes, it's happening. I'm scripting it right now. Shh. I didn't give it to Keegan and Taylor, I wanted it myself. Dylan gave it to me. Caveat Camel said Mike Flanagan is a genius and a master of horror filmmaking, period. I completely agree with that. I love him, he's great, but the best thing about Mike Flanagan is his wife Kate Siegel. So that's the end of it. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you later. And finally, 7 minutes. I've got another hair. I'm shedding. It is discovered that zombies ignore the injured or terminally ill as they don't see them fit hosts for viral as they don't see them as